Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And I am so excited that we have Jessie Herman on today, talking about from seeking to receiving, which is one of the big initiators for me, without question. And that's the end of the search and the rise of your higher self. And what I'm excited about Jessie is that, yes, she's an amazing channel for the non-physical entity group. Pronounce it for me, Jessie? Make sure I get it right.
Vagrein.
Vagrein, thank you. I just want to make sure I had it right. Vagrein.
Yeah.
Um, and their wisdom, what they bring through, it is so direct. It's like I can't find the holes in it. It's like I try to get into different places and it's just so obvious when they speak that it's like it just lands. It's like the mind doesn't even have a chance to loop so much because it's so direct. And again, getting back to what I was saying about Jessie is that she carries this effervescence and awareness and playfulness and maybe even a little rebellious streak with what she's seeing. You laugh because you know, um, but also because there's an embodiment that works through her as well. And there's a very human aspect, but also that part that is in alignment as best as we can be in human form. And I say that because we all need that compassion as we're integrating so much that we have the capacity for. But to have the patience and the time to acclimate and to rise and then to hold, that's where the work really is. So, again, as an example of what's possible and what we're all experiencing, it's Jesse as a master for that. Just being on the show is a master class. But we're going to go deeper. We're going to get into, again, from seeking to receiving. And there's probably going to be a channel activation. Um, we're going to talk about stepping into your gift, navigating emotions as the individuation while while sitting in the seat of the observer. I love that conversation and so much more. So I hope you all enjoyed today's call. Sit back, relax, prepare for an activation, if we will, and we'll probably get into some Q&A as well. So if you are interested in asking a personal question, let's take advantage of this. And it's with that, Jesse, that I want to welcome you to the call. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so much fun.
Mm. So from seeking to receiving, why is this coming up?
Well, Vagrian's first book, when I first started working with them in 2019, they told me that the book was, well, actually, they didn't even tell me this. Their name, when I went to look it up online, the
Mhm.
only information I found about the word Vagrian in terms of that spelling of that name, there is a town, I think in Switzerland called Vagrian with a W, but there's nothing else on the whole internet that was Vagrian at the time, except for this one baby name's website.
Hmm.
And either it had no definition or I don't know why, but it said right on the website, the big bold text, seeking ends when sharing begins.
Hmm.
And that then became the title of the book because I felt like Vagrian's name came through in that way specifically to me to have me read those words for my journey because I had been a spiritual seeker. I had been looking to different teachings, to gurus, to different sorts of modalities, trying to find the thing that worked for me, studying law of attraction, studying this, studying that, to try to get to that space where I had the truth that would finally land for me, that would be the key, right? Like the key to enlightenment or the key to a happy life or whatever it is we're seeking. There was this desire to find the solution. And when I read those words, I realized that my entire journey up until that point had been based upon an error, that the truth was always within me. It was never external. It was never going to be a guru that had the answers. It was never going to be some book that I found fell off a shelf by synchronicity that was going to give me what was already inside me because everything that resonated up until that point resonated because it was a truth that I found within myself.
Hmm.
So the reason why we're moving now as a collective from this seeking external to the sharing of what's coming through as internal is because we all have a voice that somebody's waiting to resonate with, not even waiting to hear, waiting to, in your authenticity, when you're giving it to someone else, to blossom from that, to go, I'm not alone. This resonates. We're all the one same thing. And I think that a key to that also, and this is where the question of receiving comes in, is that we're constantly receiving the transmission of ourselves, right? And you're able to tap into that by how good you feel in any given moment. So if you're feeling joyful, then that thing is for you. If you're feeling like something's a little bit off, then maybe you're being offered something that isn't for you. So learning to receive your own inner guidance, your own wisdom, your own essence, really, is how you can then share that with the world and really step into the life that's meant for you. So, from seeking to receiving, from seeking to sharing, it's all connected. And I really think that as people feel into this, they can also find that that is the key. Basically, everyone is the key to their own life.
That's so beautiful, and it's so resonant for me because over the last several months, I've been going through like this contraction, and it's like what's happening is where I feel like my heart's I'm protecting my heart or my space even more. I need to go inward, and I would sit in meditation or try to find stillness and seeking to connect to like find whatever it is that would get me in that place of the blossoming, if you will, which is
Mhm.
where I like to create from and be from and experiencing from. And it wasn't coming, and it wasn't coming. It's like nothing would land it. And eventually the guidance came in. It's like, stop seeking outside yourself.
Yeah.
Stop seeking for the channels or the guides or even connecting directly to God, source, or these other mirrors that are going to give you what you're looking for within yourself. And what they took me into is like get into practice is just breathe your own energy in.
Hmm.
You are your source, you are your supply. It's time to get to that. No more seeking outside of self. And
Yeah.
that started landing. It's like there was this regulation, nervous system regulation that started taking place. And I'm still learning more deeply how to be in that because, again, we're
Hmm.
so used to being stimulated. And for me, creativity being stimulated from an outside source, but it's like it's
Right.
all, and again, not even from the channeled source, it's all what's here, what's already embodied, what do you already have. Stop trying to accumulate more tools for the toolbox
Yeah.
and go live.
Right. Well, it's funny how we can overlook the miracle of our own existence, which really is all
Mhm.
that we ever experience. We can say, oh, look, that thing happened, that unexpected thing happened. That's a miracle. But you're actually the entirety of any unexpected thing that could ever happen because there's actually no good reason why you exist. Like, we can all say, okay, it's science or it's divinity or it's whatever, but these are all just ideas. We don't actually have proof as to why the miracle of our lives are here. So my choice in that, uncertainty of like, well, we don't know, right? Is to go, well, what is the coolest possible reason for existence? And it really is that it's 100% a miracle. It's
Mhm.
like your own essence, your own experience is so rich, even the discomfort of being human, having to eat or having to sleep or whatever it is. It's so unbelievably layered and rich and present. And if you can tap into that miracle at any given point in time, I mean, we're doing stuff, we're busy, our minds are so busy, they're computers, they're awesome, but they're off doing other things. But if you can sort of focus into, oh my goodness, I have fingers, like anything like that, like it's really mind-blowing. There's nothing that can be taken for granted at that point because you could just as easily be a dog or a cat, you could just as easily
Mm.
be a flower. There's really no good reason why you got to be you, except that if you want to, play this imagination game that I play, except that it was the coolest thing that divinity could possibly imagine to give you to be. And then you're off and running and having a great time because you really do get to embody that essence that truly is coming through you.
Mm. Just to get a little geeky, and I don't know the exact numbers, but it was Neil deGrasse, the amazing astrophysicist, and he's speaking about the anomaly that we are, like the chances that we would come into being from all of the trillions, cajillions cells that exist, and for us to actually be here from the creation of all the possibility of all those cells, or actually it's a fraction of a percentage of the likelihood that we would be created in this form based
Absolutely.
on how incredibly numerous the cells are and how many actually survive, which are minuscule.
Yeah.
So again, the miracle of even having 8 billion people on this earth is
Yeah.
huge miracle.
It's crazy. It's really
Crazy.
crazy. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful if you can tap into that energy because then you're automatically pumped through with appreciation and gratitude. And you're automatically, in that space of, there must be something fantastic here for me to look at, even in our hard periods. I'm not denying that there's suffering and that we choose to, see things in positive, negative light and that lots goes on and that we're, but you could have been born in any century. You could have been born in any location. You could have been born in any situation if you were even born. And back to that question about the cells, like, do you know how much had to go right for you to
Mhm.
arrive here in this moment? Every single thing in your life has gone right so far, which is a crazy thing to think. You didn't drown that time at your friend's house in the swimming pool. You didn't get hit by the bus because you walked out of your house 30 seconds later. Like, so there's
Mhm.
this synchronicity, divinity of consciousness that's kept you in a space of being you up until this point. Now, the amazing thing about it is that right now, in this point, you also have free will. So we get to decide what to do with that, in each now moment. And it's so cool.
All right, Jesse. So all of these miracles happened without us,
Yes.
but we're trained to hustle, to strive, to do, to so that we can survive. How do we step out of striving and get back into the miracle, get into that unfolding of that divine timing, the connection, and then how do we tune into on the consciousness, okay, we're these miracles of creation and we're on divine timing, and something else had his hand, not us, in creating us. How do we find our purpose in all of that if we're victims of the circumstances?
Sure. Well, to be honest, I don't know if we are the victims of the circumstances, just like, what I said. We do have the moment right now. Every next now moment, you do have power to choose how you're gonna,
Sure. Mhm.
be. But I think that the key really is, and this is something I'm personally experimenting with, so I'm no expert in this, but this is how I'm attempting to live my life now, is what feels good. And like really force myself to let go of hustle. Now, by coincidence in my life, I enjoy doing things the same way you were saying. I like being creative. And I don't think that that is something that lacks from anyone's life. I know a lot of people, maybe they're burnt out, they're tired, they're not sure which direction to go. So there's like this paralyzation at times with action. But I think if you build yourself back up, practice gently, gently, what's joyful for me, even if it's just eating an apple in this moment, even if it's, calling up a friend and saying, how you doing and having a joke with them, as you're building up your muscles to receive joy again, I think that inspired action comes to everyone and that direction unfolds for you because you're saying yes to it. So I think we would do well, all of us, to start saying yes to ourselves. So yes to the desires that come through, yes to the joys that come through, as opposed to exactly what you're saying, the hustle. Like, oh, I'd love to do that, but there's dishes in the sink. I'd love to do that, but I have a deadline on Thursday. Now, I've been radically experimenting with what if I don't do any of the work when I don't feel like doing it? And what I found out is that if I, as opposed to procrastination, which is like you think you have to do it and then you feel bad about not doing it, I
Mhm.
go and dive into the opposite. I'm like, I'm deliberately not going to do this thing just to see what happens. I'm going to focus on something that feels good to me. I'm going to take this moment to, do whatever it is I feel like doing. And what I've noticed is that my productivity has increased insanely because then I eventually do get inspired to do the thing and it gets done a million times faster. So it's again still experimentary phases for myself, for my business, for my service to others. But guys, I think it's working. Like really, and I'm having such a good time.
Good for you. And it's interesting because there are those times that we know that we can spend 100 hours or 10 hours and get the same results, but something in the way that we're entrained in our nervous system,
Yeah.
the achievement or whatever it is, whatever is running that show, thinks that we have to do the 100 hours.
Hmm.
And so
Yeah.
there's a reentrainment that's happening in that. And I feel I'm talking to a lot of people that are going through a similar experience that I am, in
Hmm.
which we know that there's something that's building and we're being called to, and we may even know what it is, but it's like kind of like on a holding pattern. It's like, well, I know I can't create from the past version of that, the 100 hours. I know that I like to create from the 10 hours, and there's something that's aligning in that, but I don't know quite how to move forward in that. There's like this in-between stage. Are you
Mhm.
talking to people that are experiencing that, or is that coming up in?
Yeah, I am a little bit. I think the key might be to make your life your job, right? So
Mm,
that means making your rest, like reframing things in your head. Like if I take a nap now, that's gonna if money's your goal, let's say, or if success is your goal, right? You say, okay, if I take a nap now because I feel like taking a nap, I'm getting paid to take this nap. Like
mm,
the future success that I'm aiming for is indeed fueled by me being me, is
I
indeed
love
fueled by
that.
me having my life the way I, by me going out to that party that I really want to go to, but I know like I might be tired the next day for work or whatever it is, right? So if
Mm,
you can reframe your life as forget work-life balance, right? Forget work altogether.
right.
Right?
Yes.
Like it's all work and it's all life, right? But
Mm,
we tend to get into the space where we almost think we have to earn our lives, and it's absolutely not the case. Your life is there already, and then your work is meant to allow you to express more of yourself into service to others. Because no matter what job you're doing, it does involve interacting with other people or providing something to the world. Even if you're working in a factory, let's say, making pens, somebody is going to pick up that pen one day and write something amazing, right? So you're definitely in service no matter what you're doing. But you have to remember that you are actually not ever in service if you're not you. And then,
mm,
that can kind of reframe things really quickly for you.
it's amazing. It's I have a personal question with you
Yeah.
and Vagrein. Do you ever feel like you have like these helicopter parents over you all the time with them in the field, or is it more like a co-creative and you call them in when it feels appropriate to you?
Well, we have a funny relationship outside of like me working for other people in that I'm a very stubborn person and I like to make my own mistakes. I love learning through making mistakes. I think that's another thing that people should embrace because if you have fear of making mistakes, you have fear of living basically. You can't know how anything's going to turn out. And then ultimately when you get over that fear, it turns out nothing is a mistake because it's an amazing learning space and you've done something that maybe has never been done before, etc. But in terms of Vagrian, I don't go to them for advice. So I don't actually lean on them as a resource for myself very often, only in really broad circumstances where there's something very big happening that I'm not really having any ease in even experimenting through, like, deep grief or something like that, something big happening. Um, but also, they don't interfere at all. They
Mm.
do laugh at me afterwards when when I get to the conclusion that they're like, "Well, we could have told you that 6 months ago." But it's a fun relationship in terms of, and I always joke with people like, I don't listen back to the work I do. I don't go to them for advice. So it's more of instead of like a helicopter parent type of situation, it's more of like if you have like a big brother who like's
Mm.
been through the same situations, gone to the same school as you, and like knows all the ins and outs of your neighborhood and stuff like that, that actually doesn't like wants to see you mess up because of the kind of the dynamic you have. It kind of feels like that sometimes. So sometimes they'll
Okay.
tease me in a session. They'll talk about me, like and say like, "Oh, she did this, she did that." But aside from that, no.
So they have a sense of humor also
Oh
type of.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh my God. What are they helping to navigate as for the people that you're working with right now? What's coming up is there anything coming up as a theme?
As a theme, it's a lot of stepping into more being yourself. This has been a theme for a while. So,
Mm,
getting people to understand how precious they are and how wonderful they are, and to really embrace all of their foibles and their quirks and step into service. And I think that this theme is coming up more and more because they've determined that right now, in the transitions we're having in the world, those of us who are interested in these topics, or those of us that resonate with Vagrean specifically, are here specifically. Their theme, part of their theme, is to be in service to others, and
hmm
to also be way showers, guides, lighthouses to people on this planet as we're coming into the space where, order turns to chaos, turns back to order, because we are all asking for a new humanity. We are not happy with the systems that have been set up
Mm,
so far. We're not happy with the education system. We're not happy with, the balance of financial equity. We're not happy with the way certain people are treated and others are treated differently. So a lot is coming to the space of, because there's so much request for what's next, what already exists has to be dismantled. Kind of like if you're installing a new operating system in your computer, you do have to sit there for a while with the bar going, and you can't use your computer in that moment, right?
mm,
So while everyone's waiting for that bar to load, right? A lot of people are going to run into panic, and a lot of people are going to, be looking for an example of a balance
mhm,
and a solidity and a calm and a knowing that this is all part of the process.
mm,
So the people I interact with are here for that role in many cases, and everyone will fulfill that role in a different flavor. And it starts really with what's right around you. It starts with your own community, who's physically present in your world, your friends, your family, and then that, cascades off into, maybe they feel calmer, so they're sharing that calm with others, etc. So we're muting out the panic, I think, is what our main role is.
Well, and we're also getting into the depth of the importance of individuation. So when you
Yes.
brought that up in the bullet points, it's like, yes, please, let's talk more about that because we are cutting the cords with these codependent structures
Yeah.
that we're really being called back home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And, we came in here, all of us as individuations. We've experimented for a very long time with hierarchical models of our societies, etc. We had other moments in human history in which there was more tribal, that wasn't necessarily hierarchy based, or there was other models of civilization. But the one we're in right now does still have, very much a pyramid type of form to it. When, we're kind of moving into this more, you know, organic, the way, a forest works together, this symbiosis type
It's
of relationship.
plasmic, the way you
Yeah,
say
it's
it,
like
right? Yeah.
moving, right? It's
Hmm.
moving and it's flowing, and what is needed is found and sourced by others, but also giving and receiving. So there's a lot of this really interesting energy that's coming up. Um, and we have examples of it in our world. We have it in nature. There's no question that the ocean is functioning, right?
Yeah.
All of the what do you call them? Ecosystems, all of the plankton is with the fish, is with this, is with that, and the water and the tides and the salt and the shells, and everything is sort of doing its thing from its unique space. And humanity has been experimenting with, what if we decided to do something completely different? Um, and it's been very interesting. We've been a very creative bunch, but we're also moving into a space where I think that symbiosis will return,
Hmm.
and your knowing your own individuation will be very important in that sort of model.
And again, the topic of receiving comes back in
Mm,
also because through that
yeah.
individuation, we do have to become receptive and aware of our environment, and it is a symbiotic relationship. And
Hmm.
in that, there's a giving and a receiving.
Yeah,
And a
absolutely.
beautiful example of that is that so many of y'all are so compassionate and empathic, and you see things happening in the other side of the world, and you don't know what to do. And so there's care, there's love that's sent out. But how more powerful can that love be if we were to reflect that love back to ourselves? If we're capable of receiving that,
Hmm.
what's our capacity to output even more of that because we're
Right.
we're a stronger harbor for that current of consciousness and energy. Uh,
Yeah.
and it's all a mirror. It's like what we're sending out. So many of us, again, as empaths, or we grew up to be hypervigilant, or it's are very aware of emotions and motion, extremely emotionally intelligent. Um, Again, we're so good at putting it out, but to breathe it in and to allow our emotions and our nervous system to be in a state where not only do we feel safe in receiving, but we actually start getting energized and filled up by it and excited about the co-creative flow
Hmm.
that is circulating. in the giving and the receiving. It's a whole nother level
Yeah.
that we're being taken into.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I also think that, our education system places us in a space of non-receptivity. Because
Mm,
if you look at how everyone is so different from each other, and then they're placed into a system as children who are, wild and free, where there's homogeny and you're meant to learn all the stuff because you need to know everything. You need to know all the things. You need to know math and you need to know
yeah.
languages and you need to, and in this programming of you need to know it all, you're also being given the message of you need to be closed, sovereign yourself without needing anything from anyone else. I mean, one of the biggest problems I have, and this is funny because Vagrein talks about a lot, is not the biggest problems I have, but a lot comes up in my sessions about people being such givers, and they really, really are, but they can't receive. They can't receive that same love from others, even. And Vagrein will always go to humor when this topic comes up, and they'll be like, "You're being a jerk." And people are like, "What? What do you mean? Why are you saying that? Like, I'm not a jerk. I'm giving it all the time." And they're like, yeah, but you're depriving all the other people who want to give
Yeah.
from giving to you. So, the whole lot of you are going around giving and you're basically just, vomiting this desire to be received, but you won't receive anyone else. So,
Yeah.
it's really, we have to shift that into, okay, I'm allowed to specialize in my whatever thing that I know I love doing. I love being a listening ear to friends, right? It's okay if I'm a listening ear to friends and then I'm not, great at, cooking or whatever it is. Like there's so many different things that we beat up ourselves about like what our weaknesses are. But
Mm,
whoever said you had to have all the stuff?
right.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
very strange concept that we have. Yeah.
And think of sports. You specialize in different positions, and oh my God, you're exalted, as a professional player because you're so good as a single tennis player.
Hmm.
It doesn't mean that you're going to go, dunk basketballs all day long and be able to compete there.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
just, that's you're just wired a different way. But my God, that gift.
Yes.
And
Look,
when we
I
spoke,
I always joke that I used to think it's funny you mentioned basketballs because this is the analogy I use all the time. I used to go around thinking like, "Oh my God, I'm a soccer ball on a basketball court. Like I can't bounce. Like I can't do these things. I don't know
mm,
what's going on. How do you play this game?" And then one day I woke up and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm not a soccer ball. I'm a toaster oven." Like, I don't even have any business being on this court trying to play this game. I have a completely different mission that I'm meant to be doing.
Mhm.
And yes, there's a lot of people bouncing basketballs and playing that basketball game, but I've got like, I better start focusing on making toast or like we're going to be in trouble and I'm never going to be happy. I can do toast.
Thank you. And isn't that the elixir for loneliness? That
Yeah.
not trying to be a basketball like everybody else because you see other people being basketballs.
Yeah.
But when we get into that place, like, hold on a second, I am that toaster. It's like
Yeah.
that the loneliness, the separation, it starts relieving itself, and we start realizing something different because we've opened our awareness into a deeper truth rather than an environmental cultural one that says, well, you need to grow up to be a soccer ball if you're going to survive.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And I also think that, loneliness stems from detachment from self.
Mhm.
Because the moment you really embrace and begin loving yourself, and I know that those words are hard because it's a
Yeah.
cliche and like nobody really knows what that means. I keep trying to explain it, but it's very, it takes some time to kind of dial in that whole love yourself thing. But when you do, you don't actually experience loneliness anymore. First of all, you end up with lots of people who actually appreciate you for you. So you're like now in a space where you're drawing in and attracting the right people to yourself. But on top of that, you're your own best friend, really. You've got your back. So if you want to, go to a movie, you don't feel like, oh, poor me, I'm alone in the movie theater and like, oh, gee, nobody loves me. You're like, this is awesome. Like I wanted to go and I went and I'm having a great time and I didn't need to wait for anyone else to, hold my hand to do it. And you really become, a very solid being that just doesn't have that experience anymore, which is really interesting.
Well, you become the receiver of your own flow.
That's right.
We get
Exactly.
back into getting into that circuitry that's right there. That's everything is right there. But then we start magnetizing according to the symbiotic relationship that allows those channels to really flourish and nurture. And that's an
Right.
intelligence that stems from nature, from
Yes,
biology,
that's
right?
it does. Yeah.
Which is amazing. So we talked about a channeled activation
Yes.
possibly for the call
Yes.
today.
Yes.
Well, I'd love it if you give us your awareness of what happens during these channel activations. What's the purpose of them, the benefits that people get, and perhaps the flavor of how you and Vagrian transmit that during calls.
Sure. So it's actually really interesting and probably like the energy transmissions that Vagrein does, they're more they do entertain the cerebral side of us quite often. So they do share a lot of words. Like you said, they're very direct. And often, they'll go straight for the brain to give the brain something to do. Now, in any session with Vagrian, while they're doing that, they're also sending the entire information package that doesn't come with the words to the person. Okay. So
Mm,
that's always being transmitted. So not only are you understanding maybe the concept, but something's getting integrated while you're listening to what they're sharing. And in fact, if anyone reads my book, it says right at the beginning of the book, like, take your time. This is a very hard book to read because there's energy being transmitted with it that
mhm.
was the intention when it was originally channeled. So it's an interesting sort of almost like magical thing, right? That happens with some channeled material that it's heavy. Okay.
Right.
And then other times there's more direct and intentional energy transfers that they do. So an activation would be something along the lines of we have this intention to move from seeking to receiving. And in a transmission like that, they might share words. It might seem like a meditation, but while that's going, there will be a much more potent energy. And I want to just, anyone who's listening, if you get sleepy, that's not unusual. If you want to just chill or if you need to take a step away,
Mm,
don't think you're doing it wrong. It means that it's coming to you as well. But um, those energies, because they're consented to by anyone who will be here listening now or in the replay, are based upon the person's own intention to integrate that particular thing. So, someone who's here and stays and sticks around for this transmission is already giving their energetic yes to, you know what, maybe I am done seeking. And then to whatever amount that energy is going to want to be shifted away, it will help with shifting that away. And then whatever amount the receiving will want to come in, it will help in the receiving. So that's the topic of this particular activation. And people might find, tomorrow to wake up completely, ready to kind of go like, you know what? I don't need all these modalities, etc. I'm just gonna go and receive my own inner guidance more easily, be in my life more easily, etc. So it's really nice when there's these activations. It can be
I love that.
intense energetically, like I'll feel it more than I do when I'm doing normal channeling. It can be sort of like an energy almost around my head. In live sessions, when they do this, it's very powerful. Sometimes people will have emotional releases, run out of the room, that sort of thing. But generally, over the internet, it's a little more tame.
Well, and speaking of live, I'll just mention it. We'll send an email out in maybe in about a week, but Jesse's going to be in London in August for a
Yes.
live experience. It's a small group. I think 35 people, you said?
Yeah, that's right.
About a room
Yeah.
of 35. So if anybody is going to be in Europe, in the UK, wants to visit London and drop in with Jesse and Vagrein, this is an amazing opportunity. Again, we'll send
Yeah.
out an email for that afterwards, but since you mentioned live, I thought
Yes.
we might as well drop
Good.
that right now. So
Oh, thanks so much.
yeah, of course. Um,
Great.
get into an activation now and then maybe take some questions afterwards.
Yeah, sure. So, if yeah, we'll do the activation, and then Vagrin will tell you when it's time to take questions, and I'll just stay in trance because I'm in full trance when I'm working with them. And you can do you want to do questions with them and with me? Would we do both?
Let's do questions and end with you. And actually, before we even go into the activation, since
Hmm.
you're about to go into trance, why don't we
Yes.
go through the special offer? Because there's an opportunity
Yes.
to experience something special for Beyond the Ordinary. There's your membership, and there's this ebook. And again, the transmissions just from even that I can
Yes.
already feel. So, y'all follow along with us. Again, we're about to get into the activation in just a little bit, but I want y'all to have an opportunity to go deeper with Jesse.
Yeah.
It's I met Jesse and I was like, thank you. Thank you. I've been waiting for this clarity in different ways, and there's a lot of great teachers, but there's such resonance and such a direct transmission that I feel from Vagrin. It's like, it's, I'm sure they can be compassionate, loving, and all that, but again, the directness is something that I can feel safe in. It makes me feel like, thank you. I don't
Beautiful.
need all the fluff is nice and sometimes the nurturing and that, but the direct transmission is something that I really welcome because I got shit to do and a life to live. And I'm excited about it as well. So anyway, it's for the special offer, y'all. The link is right below the video where you're watching the live call. If you're watching the replay, there's a special offer button right underneath the video. There's also a link in the chat box that Chris just typed in. And you can always access the special offers by going to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace. And you'll find Jesse's picture on there. Click on the special offer button and you'll be able to just add it to the cart and get all the schedules. Um, but Jesse, if you wouldn't mind taking a few minutes and let everybody know what they're going to be receiving,
Yeah, for
joining with you.
sure. So I'm excited about the special offer because it provides 3 months worth of my Amethyst membership on my membership site. And in there are hundreds of transcripts, tons of videos, special advanced viewing of videos that are coming out, a forum where you can access me. Then there's a WhatsApp group with just the members that, you have updates in there. So it's really where I've put all my work and put everything that's coming through from Vagrein. Also, members get discounts on one-on-one sessions. They get discounts on the events that I do, both online and the live or in-person events,
Mm.
retreats, etc. So it's really basically it's my baby. So you get 3 months of that, and it's actually the special offer here is actually cheaper than the membership just in itself. But on top of that, what I've added in is an ebook called The Portal to the New You, which is a beautiful transmission on how to step into this version of yourself that is so connected with your higher self that you cannot even separate them anymore. People tend to say, okay, this is my human self, and then my higher self is guiding me. No, this is like a portal into being your higher self in your life every single day. And that was a
Mm.
beautiful transmission from Vagrian that came through, and I'm offering that as an ebook exclusively to you guys.
Wow.
And then the last thing is I actually have a live call just for the people who join this. So we'll be meeting again in August after, this entire season. So you guys have all the time in the world to watch all of the amazing episodes here. And then in August, we're going to be getting together and having an exclusive Q&A for just the participants from the Beyond the Ordinary. You'll have your chance to
Mm.
talk to Vagrian, to connect with the group, and you'll have been in the membership site for a while since then. So you'll have been coming to the Vagrian cafes, which we do regularly during the membership. So you'll be part of a community and then have this special day or this special experience where you get to, really be intimate with Vagrian, talk out loud your own questions, and we'll have a great time.
Amazing. Oh my God. I can feel how special it is already. I was excited when I saw it. It's like, this is amazing to work with Jesse Vagrein in this way. Y'all, the special offer is only $97. Again, you get the 3 months, the live call, the ebook, the transmission of the ebook. I feel also, it's just, I want to download it and read it as well. So I'm going to get that also, and hopefully join the live call because again, I just want to be in this energy. It feels really wonderful. But y'all, again, the link for the special offer is in the chat box. It's also underneath the live video or the replay video, and always on beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace. $97, two payment options, and start integrating and playing and being activated with what Jesse and Vagrin are offering and all the work that you do. Again, I was so excited that you were coming on again for the second time for BTO, and so there's a lot of resonance, and I can feel a lot of the propulsion that's coming through into again that individualization, the being in the higher self consciousness on a continuous basis, rather thinking that's something that is elusive for us that we only get to glimpse every once in a while. And that's powerful. So thank you for putting that special offer together. Um, if y'all are ready, we'll take Q&A after the activation. You guys feel free to raise your hand if you want to ask a personal question afterwards. You can type your question into the chat box as well. And those of y'all who I've promoted to panelists now, just keep your video off and we'll turn it on when we get ready for the calls. Um, and Jesse, whenever you're ready. Um,
Okay,
Get
great. So
going,
it
yeah.
only takes a couple minutes to get into trance. I invite everyone to tune into themselves while that's happening, to
Mhm.
relax, to focus on your breathing, or to really do whatever feels good to you. Get comfortable in your chair. And then Vagrein will just start talking. I unfortunately don't remember the transmissions afterwards, so I'll have to watch the replay. But I'm certain that you will all enjoy it and have a great time. So
Mm.
I will see you at the end. I'd say I'm looking at the time. They'll probably transmit for a while and then let you know about, going into Q&A.
Perfect. All right. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I'll see you soon.
We'll see you in a little bit. Thank you.
Good now to you. We are pleased to be meeting with you in this fashion and are eager to discuss with you anything you so choose to know more of yourself. But first, we will engage you in the requests that did come through from this group before you even knew that we were going to have this conversation of embodying more of yourself in a space of receiving those transmissions that are already coming through you in the form of your desires, in the form of your joy, in the form of your knowing, of your intuition, of your inspiration. You are an antenna for divinity, for your higher self, for isness itself, as was and is choosing to be incarnate in this individuation in this now moment. This is a precious realization, a precious knowing for you in this moment in time, because it is indeed so potent, so important, though nothing truly ever is important, for the desires that you have, the themes that you are playing with, the direction and the flow of what is your precious one human life for this now moment. The activation of your receiving of the full self does require you to relax deeply your resistance to it. We will say this and you will hear it. There is nothing wrong with you. There never has been, there never will or could ever be. Your essence, who you are, your personality, your quirks, the things you do not like about yourself, all of them are intentional. There's an intent behind your existence, a journey, a storyline, a theme. Yes, a purpose, but not a purpose assigned to you from something external, a purpose that is a flame that burns within you, that has always been yours to choose, to accept, to deeply receive. You need not look outside. This flame is and always has been within you, is and always has been the beautiful melody, the harmony, the frequency that is uniquely yours. And in the receiving of it, the acceptance of it, the understanding that you are channeling your own self into physical form in each now moment, is the key, the solution, the codex that you have always been looking for. And even when you have found answers that seem to be outside of yourself, the one consistent aspect of those answers is that you were there to receive them. There is no teacher, guide, channel, entity, angel, source, alien, being that can ever offer to you anything that can resonate with you that is not already within yourself. It is simply not possible because it is your brain and heart that translates the messages. It is your brain and heart that integrate them, that allow them, that receive them. And everything in your reality that is offered to you, that resonates, is offered to you because it resonates. And anything in your reality that is offered to you, and much is offered to you, that does not resonate, is offered to you so you can see the contrast and again choose what does resonate. For you are a tuning fork. You are the ultimate measure of existence. What comes in that seems to be external to you is always translated by your being in essence, always received by your being in essence. So we are here to suggest to you to begin to receive all that does resonate, because all that does is you. There will be a shifting from your intention to fix, to solve, to sort, to seek, to a calm, a knowing, an inner sense of security and safety, a wisdom, and a readiness. A readiness of knowing that what does come to you, that you recognize as having those frequencies that are in alignment with you, can now be shared, can now be expressed. And there will be much ease in this. If you feel in your heart space now, you can imagine a pink energy crystal that is expanding outside towards your rib cage, your shoulders, your pelvis. This heart essence that has ease in the knowing that truly all you need to do is allow, receive the gift that you are. Melt into the pool of existence. If anything that does come up does not match the knowing that all is well for you, in you, will simply no longer have impact, will no longer touch you in the ways that it had done. In the same way, if you put on a body oil and then step into the shower, the water beads off you, water that previously would have made you wet. Can look at this phenomenon. This is what is occurring. What resonates will be absorbed, known, received, expressed, and everything else will shed away. You never lost yourself. You never forgot who you were. You simply covered it in layers of other things. But the curiosity you had as a child, that each day would be new, is returned to you. The confidence that you had is reawakened. And with it, your ability to choose whatever path you would like to make your purpose. Even if that be enjoying yourself. That too serves. And this will become your experience in exact proportion to how desiring you are of it to become your experience, how willing you are to have it become your experience. And if there's some resistance, don't worry. It will give you information as to the beliefs you are getting ready to let go of to make the receiving even easier for you. Receive too the wisdom of the resistance. Receive too the discomfort, if there is. All of it is valuable. So, we know that our activations often eliminate many questions, but if there are, we are happy to discuss anything you so choose.
Thank you so much. I am gonna promote some of our callers to panelists now. And Andrew, we have you on the line. Would you like to unmute your microphone?
Of course. And I'm going to turn on my
Welcome.
light here. So, good evening from Switzerland, my
Mm,
dear friend John, and um, to Jessie, and a, I'll just call you A if you don't mind, because I forgot how to pronounce your name,
Arian, yes.
Arian. And I just uh, I just have to say thank you for that activation. And when Jesse's listening to this, I just want to say what beautiful personality you have. And I I'm starting to work on a big project right now, writing my memoir. And I think the activation came up with I'm feeling scared to write it because it is very heavy for me because it has to do with surviving suicide, trauma, and identity. And I know I know Jessie answered some ways to help, but I'm just wondering if, like, because, I do, I'm just wondering if you have any advice on on writing.
Yes, so
Any advice that comes for my highest good.
yes, you are already doing a great job. And indeed, it is heavy, or it does feel heavy to you in this now moment. But part of that heaviness and the way that it feels to you and the fear that is coming up around it is in direct proportion to how much it would serve others. Your desire is there regardless of the fear. If it wasn't, you would not even clock the fear as fear. You simply would not be interested in this project at all. So know that when fear appears in this way, it is already an indication that you have the courage to get through that thing. Because again, if something did not have any fear related to it, you would simply either do it or not do it. But when there is this sort of back and forth, it is because you are meant to be working on this project because there is someone that would be served by this project, but simultaneously, this project is meant to be working on you. The desire to write your memoirs is, in parts, your healing process. Coming up to these fears and taking them with baby steps. Yes. Not being hard on yourself if there is a day you do not want to write, or if there's a day in which you are instead choosing to process emotions, but coming up upon the project with courage and allowing yourself with compassion and gentleness to anyway go ahead and do it, first of all, brings you to the state of understanding how brave you have been so far,
Mm.
how brave you continue to be, and finally integrating this sense that is the desire of many of you to be invincible, to be the one that can accomplish everything that you are wanting in your life. So understand that your project is indeed part of your healing process and will be of service to those who are waiting very patiently and with love for your voice to be heard.
Mm.
Thank you
Beautiful.
very much.
Blessings, Andrew. Come back and listen, and we'll run replays of this call. We'll share the link a little bit later. Let's continue. Varian, I want to thank you for the transmission also personally, as I received a surrender into the joy of experiencing my life. And somehow in that, like this tension that I've been holding that perhaps has been the kink in the hose of some of the creativity that wants to come through, it comes through with a different meaning or a different essence that perhaps is even more accessible to whoever it is that I'm trying to share this with. But most importantly, the enjoyment of the process and the experience and of really this human experience is something that as part of my purpose I'm dropping into embrace more. So I wanted to declare that publicly here on the call also and just share of an activation that happened for me during this transmission. So thank you for that. Um, and with that, Heather, let's get you on the call. Welcome.
Hello, everyone, and my sincerest gratitude for this call. My question is, what is the best way I can serve and allow myself to receive my next steps in that process?
Yes, so we hear these questions quite often. And when there is not clarity about what specifically one would choose to do, the answer can only be to dive deeply into what is joyful or pleasurable for you, because that is the route to opening up your own personal channel to yourself more, so that aligned action can then be flowing to you. So this receptive mode of allowing aligned action is dependent upon your saying yes to the joys in your life. So there may be periods in your life in which there is not any specific inspiration or movement direction, and you are in that asking outside of yourself, what is the next direction to go in? Whereas it really is a question of diving more into your personal experience of what is joyful for you. And then in the saying yes to your own life, what naturally occurs is situation or circumstance or inspiration or intuition will guide you towards what is next. There are phases and chapters in life in which things need to be cleared out for there to be space for other things to come in. And that might be what you're experiencing. But we would always suggest that in these phases, when you do not have clarity of what is next or what your purpose is or what your situation is, to simply dive into the very tiny details of what is joyful for you.
All right, Heather, thank you so much. Blessings. And again, come back and listen to the replay. All right, we have a question that came in from Mackenzie. Mackenzie writes, I need some guidance. I've been out of work for almost 3 years. I lost my home, car, and all of my financial resources. I've applied for over 1,000 jobs and nothing. I can barely provide basic needs for myself, and I have bounced around to different states and just one hardship after the other, even though I'm doing all the things to try to connect with my guides, my angels, but it's been silent. I know my soul wanted to experience this, but my human self is barely hanging on, and I'm at the end of my rope. Can you sense something coming in for me, and any guidance is so much appreciated?
First, we will say we have deep compassion for the situation you find yourself in. It is difficult, and it is worth honoring the fact that it is difficult for you, that you have been doing your best or have been through hardships that many others do not have to face. And so, having compassion for you, which is easeful of us, is also where we would start with your first steps for self. You have done nothing wrong, and simultaneously, you are not a victim to your circumstances. You are being invited and challenged, yes, into the expanded versions of yourself. We understand the frustration and the desperation, even, of being at the end of your rope. And yes, it is cliche, or it is not necessarily what you want to hear, but there is the hang in there aspect of what consciousness is providing for you. You are in this situation and in existence simultaneously. As you said, it is what is wanted in this now to be experienced by you, but it is also why your story is going to be or is already so epic. You have survived all of these hardships and you are continuing to survive them, perhaps not thriving yet, but this is a story of perseverance. Each being comes into existence with several themes in their lives. Many of those themes require unexplicable circumstances to be played out, to be experienced. We cannot even say entirely that it is unfair, because the truth of the matter is that each and every one of you is part of the collective consciousness that does want to experience everything. Again, we do not say that that means that you should simply be happy with your lot in life, but it is creating something in you that others who are not having these experiences could not have. If you can find a way to have faith, both in yourself and in the storyline, which is complicated, then you can find a way to, in each moment, shore yourself up for the next thing that is coming. We do not, unfortunately for you, have the unfolding of your circumstances or situations, but what we can tell you is that you are loved, that you are doing a good job, and that we see that if you can find it within yourself to hold on, it will all be worth it.
Hmm. Beautiful. Thank you for that. And blessings to you. Blessings to you. Um, there's an interesting comment and question that I'd love to address with you, Varen, and it's very direct, and so I'm just going to be direct with it. Someone was projecting as Varian as a dark negative entity and energy, and having an experience with that. And this person writes that they remove negative entities, and those entities fear and hate them. Okay, valid your experience. And we honor all experiences. To get into the question, it's they're asking, how do you discern? How do you know an entity that you're interacting with is a positive or a negative entity trying to trick you into thinking that it is a positive entity? And Brian, with that question, I would also be curious about what would make you ask that if you feel that you already know. But Barry and I would love your answer to that and the interpretation of what Brian may be picking up on.
Yes. So obviously, from that perspective, there is only free will to discern and choose for oneself. So whatever one believes is accurate from their perspective. We do not deny this.
Mhm.
What we can say is from the perspective that we transmit from, there is no such thing as negative, which
Mm.
can be confusing to humans because you do see things through lenses of polarity. You do see things through lenses of positive and negative. And in seeing things with that polarity, you then have to define what you would mean, what it is that you are afraid of that is allowing you to perceive of something as negative. Negative how? What can the negative do? What is it causing, etc.? What is it taking from you that you would like not to be taken, etc.? Now, in terms of discernment, we cannot speak from our perspective because, again, we do not discern between positive or negative, but we can tell you that the vessel would be able to indicate the frequency based upon their discernment of what resonates, what does not resonate, and did spend quite a lot of time not trusting us before allowing a full integration of what does come through. The same vessel does not interact with ghosts and spirits, though they are able to, because of this specific question. Not because they are negative per se, but because they do not resonate with her. So that is what we could share from her perspective if we were to, or if she were to be speaking in this now moment. But negative is simply stimulus towards you to find your resonance. So even in the case of something being available to you that is negative, and there are things that you would label as negative in your experience, in your life, whether they be people, situations, circumstances, energies, whatever it may be, even entities, yes. They are only there to offer you to step more into what you consider positive for you.
Mm.
So once you have understood that, anything that is perceived of as negative in your life is an offering and an invitation for you to step into more of yourself, to step into more of what you would like to be. And
Mm.
to be honest, though we suspect that with a bias, we would not be trusted anyhow, those negative beings on the soul level, whether they be humans that you do not agree with, whether they be entities, whether they be forces, whatever it is, do not ultimately hate you.
Mhm.
That negativity in and of itself, the villains in your life, are also soulmates. They have also come to create that particular circumstance or situation with you so that you can understand polarity, because it is the game that you came here to play. So we would say to discern, and when you are listening to beings such as us, always use your own judgment, always use your own discernment. If you are not comfortable with the messages, if you are not comfortable even with the energy, if you are not comfortable with that particular time of day, whatever it might be,
Mm.
listen to it.
Beautiful. Thank you, Varian. And Carl Jung even talks about that. Our when we go deep into the depths of the shadow and we can learn to be with them, they become some of our closest allies.
Yes.
And they're
There's
all
always
in the
energy of positivity, if you would call it that. Even as we said, it is more a question of neutrality and understanding how all the puzzle pieces fit together. You are able to have benefit from any single thing that can occur for you.
Mhm. And I know that it's for me as a self-reflection, if I use very strong charged words as fear and hate, it's like, oh, hold on a second. What is it within me that needs to use that charge right now to interpret something? And what's evolving within me because I know that there's the polarity of light that exists in it. And what is it that's taking me into so that I can see more clearly that light? rather than linger of the energy of control or interpretation so that I feel safer or more empowered about something. Because whenever I get into the hierarchy and getting into I have to have control over or power over, or else something will be taken away from me, or I'll lose something, then I realize that I'm actually taking something away from myself. I'm disempowering myself in the process. And of course, discernment for us in human form, knowing standards that we want to hold for, to really have reverence for the immensity that we are as energetic soul beings, is beautiful. But I understand that if it comes at the expense of something else, and there's something within myself that I need to look at, there's something that I am learning from that experience so that I can continue to evolve into being with the wisdom of my higher self rather than being with the wisdom of a shrunk self that's used to reacting and being out of safety or out of conditioned programs that don't serve me anymore, or they were taught to me because they serve somebody else, but not necessarily me in this particular existence. Um, Brian, thank you for writing in and for allowing that conversation to come through. Um, we had someone else that was coming up. Is it Ilona that was coming in? Elena, I'm going to promote you to a panelist and let's get you on the call. Should be on in a second. Elena, go ahead and turn on your video and Elena should be coming on any second now.
Hi.
Hello, welcome.
Hello. Hi. Thank you for taking me.
Mhm.
I'm gonna try to speak English as best as as best as I can. I have a question. I've been told that I have an ancestral contract of scarcity, and I've been meditating for a few years now, and I also have got um, uh, a lot of great things during my meditation, because I could have a like a how to say instant healing just meditating for a few things that I have chronic, and I would like to solve that ancestral contract, but I don't know if the meditation is enough or there's anything else that I can do about it.
Yes, so
And
letting it go completely in this now moment is the fastest thing that you can do, because as you have been absolutely everything that has exist in all of the history of everything that has ever been, the focusing upon one particular aspect and claiming that as identity does indeed solidify that as a reality that to you seems that you have to resolve. But guess what? You have also been wildly abundant in what you would call past lives, because there is wild abundance around you. You have also been every single thing that you can possibly imagine, because everything that can be is. In this particular experience of your lifetime, you are not limited in any way. You get to start the story from each next now moment. So if you choose in this now moment to say, well, it's great that I had that information from wherever it is you picked up that information for that period of time, because it did color and pepper my experience in certain ways that I then enjoyed experimenting with, whether you enjoyed them on a conscious level or not, you did experiment with the idea of believing yourself to be someone who is in some ways cursed when you are not. So whether or not there was an ancestral aspect that could be adopted and claimed to be a particular situation that would restrict you in this lifetime or not, the reality is you are not restricted in this lifetime. So you are free indeed. And as we are saying this, we see and hear that you are thinking, well, how wonderful it would be if I could let go of this thing. Yes, it would indeed be wonderful. And the reason why you are feeling that it would be wonderful is because you already resonate with that version of yourself that has already let it go. It feels bad to be carrying around the idea that you have some sort of ancestral contract or curse weighing on your shoulders. And that in and of itself is evidence to you that that belief no longer serves you. At one point, it may have served you. You may have asked someone a question, why is it that I'm having trouble making money? And they may have looked into your Akashic records, or they may have looked into their psychic ball, or they may have looked into their own abilities in that moment that said, yes, there is this contract. And in that moment, that might have been relief for you. It might have said, you know what? It's not my fault. And it wasn't. But it's also not your fault now. And it is not a contract's fault. Everything that can be is sourced through you at all times. So the fastest way, again, to release this contract, to sign it off, is to take it in your mind's eye and cross it out.
Great. Great. Thank you so much.
Enjoy your
Beautiful.
abundance.
Thank you so
Cross it
much.
out, tear it up, claim that you've paid it with interest on top of interest, and you're done.
Yes.
I didn't think of that option. Thank you.
Thank you.
Blessings, Ilana.
Thank you.
Tanya, welcome to the call.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, and I appreciate the activation, the meeting itself, very peaceful for me. My question is, I just even said so loud and resonate with Elena, like, why does my children need to pay so much, like so heavily, and being unhappy, being alone, being depressed, being in bed at 26 years old, no person, no life. So I want some relief, and I'm meditating, I'm working with energy. I even have to find my path to work with energy. But before thinking of helping others, I have my own two children, 20, 26 years old, too. I want to see them alive. I want to see them loved and be loved and make their own money, having their own life. But what's in there? What I'm not reading it? What they can help me? Thank you.
Yes, we thank you again. As is with personal situations, we do have compassion for your situation. We understand how difficult it is to be a parent and to have raised children, to then find that they have not yet found their path towards happiness. But in the same way we spoke of earlier, all catalyst is leading towards something. It is leading towards that awakening. You can only be in a space of not taking responsibility for your life or sovereignty for your life for so long before you decide to have the inspiration of beginning to move in directions that you are wanting. It is difficult, again, to watch a loved one in this space because you would like, and your preference is, that the reality be different, but they are living their lives or their journey. And they do have higher selves that are equally wise as yours, that are entirely tailored to them, that are advising them in each now moment. You did say what you want, and we will honor that. And you said you want them to be loved, which, good news, you do have the ability to do. This is where your power lies. Loving someone, especially when they have come to an adult age, does require you to see them as adults, which means not so much that you do not need to care for them, but some faith is required that they are on their journey, they are on their path. And their path might be very uncomfortable for them, because being uncomfortable might be what they are calling into themselves. So, as advice to you, because you are the only ones we are speaking with here, again, follow your joy first. It is difficult in the face of circumstances when someone you care about is suffering, or when someone you care about is having a hard time. But is it not joyful for you to be a loving, open space for them? Is it not joyful for you to call them and say, how are you doing? Is it not joyful for you, even if you cannot call to say, hi, how are you doing, to simply send love and well wishes to them, hope that their tomorrow is better, love in terms of words or sensation, etc.? These are things you do have power over. Will it change their circumstance tomorrow? That is entirely up to them. But it will aid them to have the strength to begin to change their circumstance. Being loved by a parent is something that is not necessarily a given for all of you. So if you can step into that role of loving them, regardless of the way that their lives are going, from that space of unconditional love, then they are already on their way to resolving many of the things that do not work for many of your human beings. Again, it does require you to look at something that is not your preference and to step into love anyways, which is what your challenge is in this particular situation.
Yeah, thank
Beautiful,
you.
Tanya. Come back and listen to the replay.
Gratitude. Thank
Yes.
you.
Y'all, the replay will be at beyondtheordinaryshow.com/replays. We'll send an email out with that a little bit later, but come back into the transmission and the activation. Brain, I have one final question for you, if it's okay.
Yes.
Many of us there's concerns about what we see happening in the world as far as war and those that are initiating and posturing from a power place, I will call it. And that could be a judgment, but that's the way I see it. But some of us are concerned about loved ones that we have. There are other human beings as well. We're also concerned about how it's going to impact our lives economically or even safety wise also. And I understand that those are projections of what might happen. But what is it that you can advise that we tap into and resonate so that we can not only self-regulate and come into our own truth, but really be a catalyst for compassion and for holding a higher possibility of what's transpiring?
Yes. So at all times, the actions that are applicable on the micro level are the same that are applicable on the macro level.
Mhm.
You do not know all of the information of anything at any given point in time, but you do have the ability to assume many things because you do want to have a very clear and clean storyline that you can then, going back to that positive and negative polarity, judge. When you do this in your personal life, it does cause a bit of chaos, does it not? When you assume that that person didn't call you because they don't like you anymore, when really it was that they were busy with work, you cause negative feelings in yourself. You might even confront them. You might even rupture a relationship. So those assumptions, if you can just wait and see, you might have found out something else. Right now, on a global scale, you are seeing things you have not seen before. Many things. And the reasons why they're coming up now can be assumed that it is power, or someone wants to stay in government, or someone wants to do this, or someone wants to do that. And in fact, you are offered many of these pieces of information. But what is occurring is that you have decided collectively that things do not work anymore. And you have decided collectively that you would like to move into situations and systems that do work. In order for that to happen, things that have never happened before do need to occur. Now, the way that those things occur and the way that they are organized is also, again, dependent upon how much you all lean into fear and how much you all lean into love. If you can look at any situation or circumstance and say, I will lean into love regardless of what I'm thinking, because I know that there must be love in this unfolding as well. There must be love in this unfolding as well. I'm going to assume the best case scenario here, as opposed to listening to the fears. If you were to look at each current event and assume the best case scenario instead of the worst case, then what you would end up having is the unfolding of the best case scenarios more easily. There are also many things going on an energetic level that simply are not necessary for your average person to know. And so these things will unfold based upon the best possible timeline. It is not that someone else is guiding the situation. It is that existence itself does not do anything ever that was not meant to occur. So when you have seen something occur, you can safely assume that it is exactly the most correct thing for the timeline you are on. And that the timeline you are on is the best timeline, because otherwise you would not be on it. So to find that grounding and that stability and that faith in situations that are unfolding that seem to be negative or seem to have connotations towards danger, etc., remember where you do have power, which is leaning back into your love, leaning back into your own service, leaning back into the things that you know that you are capable of impacting directly, and allowing yourself to say, you know what? I feel like judging the situation today. I feel like I want to say a statement, be clear about my position on it. And remember that you also decided some time ago that you did not want to live from a place of judgment, that you did not want to live from a place of hatred or polarity. Remember what you are calling in and live from that place now. And we guarantee you, the more of you who do that, the faster you will arrive at what you are ultimately desiring when you look at things like war, which is peace.
Mm. Beautiful, Varian. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank
So
you.
aligned in that answer, resonating. And thank you for the amazing time in the Q&A and all the wisdom and the transmission and the activation. It's been wonderful being here with you.
We have had a delightful time as well. And with that, we leave with the love and the light of 1,000 suns. A nine
Mm.
nine.
I. Thank you. And we'd love to have Jessie come back so we can say goodbye to Jessie. And as Jessie's coming back, y'all, the special offer with Jessie and Varian, it's click on the link in the chat box. The special offer button's right underneath the video where you're watching, or you can go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace to find the special offer page. Again, we'll run the replay a little bit later this afternoon or morning or evening, depending where you are, but we'll post that after it renders and you'll have an opportunity to come back into all these amazing transmissions that happened on the call today. And wow, Jesse, that was awesome. Oh my God, that was so good.
Great. I'm so
Yeah.
excited to watch it back myself. Wonderful.
You don't remember any of that?
Oh gosh, sometimes I get visuals. Oh gosh, no, I don't have any like standout
There was
visuals this time.
there was someone that came in with some judgment of Varian as a negative and a dark energy.
Hmm.
So we asked that question, and the way Varian responded and just what was coming through was just, and I love that we can address those things just head
Yeah,
on because there's no need to hide from it. And it was just so direct, so matter of fact, but so heartfelt simultaneously. It's
brilliant.
not just from this mental, intelligent place. You can feel the transmission
Mm.
of reconnection and unity rather than having to create separation. And that
Yeah,
for
for
me is
sure.
just such a
I
clear indication.
I'm accustomed to, people being weirded out or projecting a lot of stuff, and it's, it's part of that learning discernment. It's necessary to bump into things that you don't like or that aren't good for you and go, you know what? It's okay that this thing isn't for me.
Yeah.
It's a huge learning and wonderful part of self-acceptance to go, not everything's going to resonate.
Yeah. And a
Yeah.
great question if we're in that position with anybody, it's so many times we try to posture but to have our belief kind of be the one
Mhm.
that feels good for us and we have to defend it. But a great question, and it's great for 5-year-olds, it's great for
Yeah,
90-year-olds, is
absolutely.
why? Why do you feel it's like really to try to come to more understanding
Hmm.
rather than posture? And,
Right.
and so much gets revealed when we don't assume and we go deeper, right?
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Curiosity. It's
which is
awesome.
wonderful. Jesse, you're amazing. Thank you so
Thank
much. It
you.
was so fun being with you. There's some people saying that they're in Europe and in the UK also,
Oh,
so
great. Yeah, come
maybe
August 2nd, London. We'll be there. We'll be having a great time.
we'll send an email out. Sign up for Jesse's email list also, and you'll get notifications about it there as well. Jesse, it's been amazing being with you. Thank you for your time. Thank you
Thank
for
you so
just
much.
being so
I also
awesome.
wanted to share because it's also in the page that we put together earlier that if you do head over to my website, you can get free chapters of my book.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
yeah, go ahead and do that. And I want you guys to be able to dive more into Vagrein as well.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Jesse. Have a great evening. Thank you,
Thanks so
everybody.
much.
Amazing call. The energy that you guys brought on today was just so perfect. So blessings and namaste to each and every one of you. Bye, everybody.